Hello, it's Alex. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me for my second episode of Friday Sews. I really enjoyed doing it last week, and I think even more sewing vloggers have kind of come on board, so I'll put a list of everybody who's taking part in the description box. It's a really nice way of finding other sewing vloggers and bloggers that you might not have found before, and we're pretty worldwide now, so that's really interesting. I like finding people across the globe. It's nice feeling that we're a community even though we're all so far apart. So thank you for all your lovely comments last week. I did go ahead and make the Maynard dress, which was the one that I sought some opinions on in terms of which fabric to use, and I made a whole video with a review and some tips on it, and I hit some technical problems, which meant I wasn't able to upload it on Wednesday gone like I'd hoped. So it looks like I'll be able to resolve those and upload it over the weekend. So that's coming soon. And in a similar vein, I also managed to sort out my fastening, my buttons or snaps for the Jolene dress that I was making in the teal cord, and I'm also going to do a video with a review of that, which hopefully will be out on YouTube. Makes it sound like a Hollywood premiere. At some point between today and next Friday. So they're coming soon. In the meantime, what I thought I'd talk about today is I've had a few deliveries this week and I've got a few plans. So I thought I'd show you what I've got. And I'm going to start with some fabric, which kind of isn't very me, but I'm really excited about it. And that's this William Morris fabric that I ordered from Higgs and Higgs. It looks like this. They sent an email out saying they'd got a selection of original William Morris prints. I think it's in association with the V&A, the Victoria and Albert Museum. And I just was drawn to this one. I'm afraid to admit, not a very popular opinion, but not a fan of a Liberty print. As in, I really like them. I think they're beautiful. But they're just not me. They're not the kind of print that I'm likely to wear. And even though I have such fond memories of Liberty, because in my 20s I worked literally just down the road in Soho. I used to pop there in my lunch hours and have a look at all the fabrics and the haberdashery department. I even had a go at sewing at that point and made a couple of things and then kind of gave it up until much later on. I'll put a picture of a skort that I made when I was very slim and a lot younger. Anyway, I love going to Liberty, but their prints are just not for me. But this one, I just couldn't resist it. I think because I love prints that are more 50s, 60s and 70s, and when I was a child in the 70s there was a massive William Morris revival and William Morris prints were everywhere, so I think it reminds me of my childhood. Anyway, I bought this. I think I got 2 meters. I think the colours are very my kind of thing, and what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to make it into a shirt. Surprise, surprise, you know how much I love making a shirt. I wanted it to be a sort of fairly traditional shirt, really, reasonably fitted with standard shoulders, not a dropped shoulder like you might get on the Melio or a Cali shirt, and yeah, with a bit of fitting. So I've decided I'm going to use this pattern again, and this is Burda's 7136, and it's the same pattern I used for my white broderie anglaise shirt. The only difference, and that's this one here, I'll put some pics in. The only difference is that this one I went for the option that has a bib front. But I really like how this shirt fits, and yeah, it's just a little bit more traditional than some of the others out there. It's quite hard to find a fitted shirt pattern actually. So that's my plan for that fabric, and I'm really pleased I bought it. I did remember to order some thread because, as I keep saying, I'm almost down only to moon threads on my thread stands, and obviously I'm not going to put those in my sewing machine. They're strictly for overlocker only. So I'm being good about ordering threads and needles. So I'm really, really pleased with that, and I really looking forward to sewing with some lovely quality cotton. I've been making things with viscose and with corduroy and stretch. So yeah, something like a lovely cotton is going to be an absolute joy to sew. And then the other thing that I did was, if you remember last week, I had attempted to make myself another pair of Mountain View jeans because I'm just wearing the black ones so much during this lockdown. They're just so comfortable, and I was just a little bit out on the amount of fabric I needed. So having said to you that I wasn't going to pay for postage just for a metre of denim, guess what I did? I ordered a metre of denim, so I must remember to use the same batches for the front legs and the back legs rather than one of each, because you never know, there might be a slight difference in how they've dyed. But yeah, I'm definitely going to get those done. And in doing that, I've been doing a little bit of research about jeans and bottoms. What's been interesting about this is that the perception of what is a more flattering bottom shape has changed in recent years. It feels like it wasn't that long ago when the mantra was, does my bum look big in this? And now, I guess due to the Kardashian effect, everybody wants to have a bigger bottom, which I'm still not sure that I've quite got my head around. But anyway, so the information that I came up with has a couple of pointers. One is not to have a yoke that runs too low or is too pointed, so is shallower and less sort of severe in its point. Now I'm making the Mountain View jeans, which are the ones that are actually pull-on jeans, so perhaps maybe not the best choice for this kind of experiment, but anyway, so they have that wide band at the top and a fairly narrow yoke, so I've decided to leave the yoke pretty much as is. Then with regard to pockets, it seems to be that they're kind of saying you don't want pockets that are too big, but then also you don't want pockets that are too small, but sort of err on the slightly smaller side. So I'm going to just take a little bit out of the size of the pockets. I'll obviously show you this. We'll do a compare and contrast when I'm done. The other piece of advice is to not have the pockets so low that they're actually beyond the cheeks of your bottom. So what I did was I put on the pair I'd already made, and sure enough my pockets are below the cheeks of my backside. So I just took a bit of chalk and marked the kind of lowest possible point. So I'm going to adjust the position of the pockets accordingly, so they're going to be much higher up, and I guess that's supposed to make you not look so, I'm not sure of a delicate way of putting it really. Let's move on. You all know what I mean. The other thing is not to have the pockets too far on the outer edges of your bottom, so have them further in, and also to slightly angle inwards. So I'm taking all those pieces of advice, I've slightly amended the placement on the pattern, and now that that denim has arrived and is washed and ready to go, I'll get those done and then we can see whether it makes any difference or not. So while I was planning all of that, I also, great timing, had a brilliant opportunity to trial the new jeans patches from Laura, who is here on YouTube as the Specky Seamstress. She recently started her business with custom made bias binding, which I've shown you I had some before, and now she's developed these, and I think it's a brilliant idea. So I've got a bit of a preview, a bit of a sneak peek. I think there's a couple of us have got them. So this option is the one that says made by me. There's another one that says sewn with love, and she's also planning to supply blanks that you can make your own design on. Because what's great about it is it's faux leather. She's done some wash tests, so I believe they wash well. It's sturdy enough that it feels like a proper jeans patch, but it's still flexible, and I obviously haven't sewn mine yet, but Laura tells us that they are easy enough to sew with a domestic sewing machine. So rather than being really thick, I mean, I wouldn't even want to put leather through my machine, I don't think. I've definitely not braved leather yet anyway. So they're kind of designed for the home sewist in mind. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to using this because I just feel it's going to give it a bit more of a kind of ready to wear touch, but still acknowledging that I made it, which I really like. And I think the idea of having blank versions is brilliant, because obviously when you stitch into it, you're going to get the stitch markings, and you know, the world's your oyster then, isn't it? You could put all sorts of designs and really, really make them your own. So I think she's thinking of doing pre-orders. They're not released yet. I've got an idea of the kind of pricing she's going to have them at, but I know she's not settled on it yet, but they certainly seem very reasonable to me. So again, I will show you hopefully next week when I've got this in place, and I'll be able to tell you how it went. But I'm really pleased about this. I think clever idea, Laura, clever idea. And then in order to justify my ordering just a metre of denim from TFG Fabrics, that's the elastic denim, I also ordered some, they do lots of really good selection, in fact, of plain jerseys, viscose jersey, cotton jersey, all sorts of, if you want a plain colour, they've probably got it. So I ordered this cotton jersey, which is obviously in this kind of, or it's a bit more of a burnt orange than my camera looks like it's bringing it out at. And the reason I got it was actually because I'd dug this out to try it on when I was thinking about making the William Morris shirt, and I had always intended to make a few tops to wear under this in the winter months, because I thought it could be really nice to see a colour through the broderie anglaise. See, I think that looks really nice, and I've been wanting to make a, excuse me, more jersey tops anyway, so I thought that was my excuse really. I thought I'd order some orange and see if those two work together as more of a kind of winter outfit, or even spring and autumn. And then my next delivery is from Minerva, and it is a fabric that has been sent to me in return for me doing a blog post. I haven't done a Minerva blog post for probably over a year now. Don't know why, I've just been busy doing other things. So it does mean I haven't paid for it. I'm not under any obligation to mention it here on YouTube, but you know, we're on Friday SEWS and we're talking about what's happened this week. So when I saw this, I just really liked the colours in it. I've said before, I know that brown goes in and out of fashion, but I feel it works really well with my colouring. But I was a little bit surprised that I hadn't looked at the listing properly, and it's relatively narrow. It's 60 centimetres wide, so that's the full width of it. So I've had to kind of rethink what I was planning to make with it. But around the time it arrived, which was only yesterday, I happened to see a jumper on the COS website that I think I could very easily replicate with this fabric. It's just incredibly straightforward. It's more or less straight up and down, so it will come off here, off your shoulder, and create a sleeve, just a seam up the side and a roll neck around the neck, and I think I could draft that really easily. So I'm going to give it a go. Yeah, I really like the colours, I really like the texture in it as well, and I think as a winter layer to wear over a long sleeve shirt, you know, like a jersey top, I think it'll work really well. But I'm going to do a toile. So I'm going to do a toile, I'm going to use some woven fabric, an old sheet or something, because although it's a knit, it's not really got any stretch to it, a little bit on the bias, but no real stretch to it. It's like, yeah, it's not as thick as a coat, but yeah, make a great coatigan or something like that. I think it'll be relatively simple to do, and therefore relatively simple to do a little tutorial if anyone else wanted to make one. But I'm going to do some experimenting and see how I get on. And that's it for my sewing related deliveries this week, which is pretty good, isn't it? Thank you for your podcast suggestions. A few people mentioned the Fortunately podcast, which is Jane Garvey, formerly of Woman's Hour on Radio 4, and Fee Glover. And I've heard about that podcast for quite a while, and only recently, in the last few weeks, started listening to it. And again, it's one like lots of people have recommended it to me, I would equally recommend it. It's great. It's a bit like having a couple of friends around for a cup of tea and a natter. So I really liked that one. And I loved the suggestion for Jenny Eclair's podcast, Older and Wider. In fact, I often say to my kids I'm older and wider, so that made me laugh. But I'm a big fan of Jenny Eclair. Still haven't listened to it yet, but I'm thrilled to find out that she's done one. So that's brilliant. So again, any great podcasts, let me know. Other than that, mostly my week's been sewing and trying not to throw my computer out of the window due to technical hitches. I did brave it and cut my own hair, which I appreciate it's still quite long, but I took about that much off. Actually, it's after editing last week's video, I thought, oh God, it's getting long and straggly. So I did brave it, a lockdown haircut. I did the technique where you throw your head forward and put all your hair in a ponytail at the front like that. And then you, and then you literally just snip it across the top. But you have to be, so it gives you layers, but you do have to be careful, because if you snip too much off, you'll end up with a layer up there. So I worked out that the shortest layer I wanted was sort of here, and only managed to take about that much off. The whole process took about, I don't know, a minute. So I'm sure any hairdressers will be screaming, and I can fully see that it's not perfect, but considering we're in lockdown and there are no hairdressers open and it was getting on my nerves, there was so much of it, I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm pleased with myself for being so brave and just doing it. Yeah, I guess it's needs must right now, isn't it? So I think that's it for me for now. Hopefully that Maynard dress review will be up fairly soon in the next couple of days, and then there'll be a review of the Jolene dress, and I'll be back next Friday. So in the meantime, once again, please look after yourselves, stay safe, and I will see you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.